Hello and welcome to this UNCCD podcast. Today we're speaking with Mr. Ibrahim Thiaw, Under Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. After 6.5 years at the helm of UNCCD and nearly 20 years of distinguished service across various leadership roles with the United Nations, Mr. Thiaw will be stepping down, and today is an opportunity to look back, to reflect, and think about some of the ways forward. Ibrahim, welcome. Thank you very much for making the time. And to start with, you have taken the reins of UNCCD in February 2019, and you have been steering and leading the Secretariat through some interesting times, not least the global pandemic. What are some of the achievements that you're most proud of?
Well, first we survived COVID. I think that was a tough moment. And not only did we survive COVID, but actually we did our work and we did it even better. Maybe not as much, but what we did was actually good. Certainly organizing a COP while the world was still undergoing COVID was quite an undertaking. And certainly some of the highlights that we see in the world today on how land is considered and taken into consideration, how drought resilience is taken into consideration is quite an achievement. And I really would like to take this as an opportunity to thank UNCCD staff and UNCCD parties for all they have done during this 6.5 years.
Well, let's look at your career overall in the environmental space, which actually has coincided with so many momentous developments in the environmental agenda, not least the Rio Earth Summit, which gave birth to the 3 conventions, including UNCCD, alongside, of course, our sister conventions on climate and biodiversity. How do you perceive the importance of the environmental agenda now within the United Nations compared to, say, 10, 20, or even 30 years ago?
Well, I remember when we were preparing for Rio in 1992. I was a young civil servant from my country, and I know how skeptical the world was at that time. Not many people believed that the environment was an important issue. And I do remember myself when I got my baccalaureate, I decided to do some studies related to ecology. Most of my family members could not understand why I chose something that is so less important to at that time and was being seen as a job that not as much as important as being a doctor or professor or someone who would service the world. So I think the world has gone through a major shift in trying to understanding actually how important the environmental issues are. But unfortunately, it was a bit late because we were victims of either droughts or desertification or hurricanes or disasters of some sort before we woke up to the issue that the environment is important. We had to see people being affected by pollution or by forest fires or by any other natural hazards before we actually realized that there is something wrong in our life. And today, with the new generation that we see, I think there is a much higher understanding about the links between human well-being and the environment. But at that time in 92 or even in 72, before 92, it was not that much important for most policymakers in the world.
Yes, Mr. Thiaw, I'm going to jump in. Now we're talking about mostly communication, and you've shared your experience in Mauritania growing up, and you've always, I remember the first meeting that I had with you, you reminded me that you wanted to put human at the forefront. Now looking back for the 6.5 years when your convention was tested, what was that story, that human story that always you reflected on and be like, our work is really important?
Well, first of all, myself, I never had any doubt that that link was there because I lived through it myself. as a teenager, and so that sort of was my North Star in terms of communications. I never considered the numbers of people affected by drought or desertification as statistics. I always saw human beings behind them. I actually have human faces. I remember so many people who were affected by these issues that anytime I refer to it, I actually see human beings. I see economies. I see ecology. I see ecosystems being affected. So it's very important, and I think that helped a lot in terms of helping me communicate. It helped a lot also shape some of the policy documents that we produced here, trying to connect land and drought with a number of sectors which otherwise would not be considered as important, be it economy, be it health, be it human well-being, the impact on youth, on rural women. So I think it is very important that we connect what we do with human well-beings, with migration, with security, water scarcity, food security, and so forth. So yes, it is certainly important that we continue to communicate that, and as we said, put a human face. As long as there is no human face, we are speaking without being convinced that this will be helpful, and we will, if you are not convinced yourself as a communicator, you will hardly pass a message that would be palatable.
I'm going to continue on that human face. We've seen young people and women at the center of our different campaign that we have done. What do you think, or what message would you have for those young people and rural women today?
They have the power. They have the power to change. They have the power to shape. They have the power to speak out, and they have the power to make decisions that hopefully would be informed decisions. We certainly have highlighted some of the challenges that the world is faced with at the moment, including when you speak about women, issues of land tenure and security, land security, and so forth. But at the same time, we are talking about people who actually hold in their hands, literally, 80% of the rural economy that we are talking about. We are talking about in some regions, young people who represent not less than 35 to 40% of the population being at the age of 30 or 40. Or even in some countries, you have more young people than adults. You have more children, actually, than adults in some countries. So it is certainly, I see the future, I see the capacity to change, and I actually have hope that when these young people get to power, and they are never too young to actually govern and rule a country, I see a lot of hope that they will change things in a positive way. Unfortunately, we have gone that far in terms of eroding the capacity of the land to regenerate itself, but it is still possible to regenerate. It is still possible to create better conditions for a better life on Earth.
Well, let me pick up on that, because we've seen in the past decades, and you've certainly seen it, that many of the critical indicators of the well-being of our planet, unfortunately, are not pointing and moving in the right direction. We're seeing it with land degradation that is continuing at extraordinary and accelerated rates. We're seeing it with climate. We're seeing it with biodiversity. What is it that keeps you up at night, and what is it that still motivates you to get up in the morning to tackle some of those challenges?
What keeps me up at night is land degradation and the impacts, the multiple impacts and consequences it is having on human well-being. What motivates me is the realization that as human beings, we are intelligent enough to actually restore the land that we have degraded ourselves. The capacity that we have, the technology that is coming, the financing that is also moving in the right direction in terms of public financing is actually a very good indicator. So yes, land degradation is a challenge, but nature is so generous, nature is so agile that if we assist it, it will be able to regenerate itself, and land reclamation is not impossible. Even in extreme conditions of the Sahara or in the Sahel or in the greater Middle East, it is possible to regenerate. You will not have any more the forest or the vegetation that you had before, but you still have some biology coming back, you still have some animals, you still have some water points, and you still have food production, including in extreme arid areas where you can produce either dates or wheat or something that will feed the population. What is also is a source of hope to me is the fact that the world has now realized that health is not necessarily lack of disease. It is well-being, it is basically lifestyle, it is the food that you eat, it is anything but medicine that can generate health. So it is certainly important that we know that yes, we need some medicines whenever we reach a certain point, but we can prevent going to there if we make the right choices in terms of the food we eat or the quality of the food we produce. So this is certainly a change in the way we have been perceiving the environment, which has always been seen as, the green development or the green part of it, but the environment is not necessarily only green. It can be actually related to your food or the quality of the water you drink or the quality of the air that we breathe. When sand and dust storm reach a point where you cannot breathe anymore or you have to wear a turban, then you realize that air quality is beyond what we consider generally as being industrial pollution or pollution due to cars or engines.
Well, let us again, sort of step back and look at your journey. You started your career as a forester in your country, Mauritania. Today, you are concluding your career with the United Nations as one of its top officials. What are some of the factors behind this incredible journey, and what is the advice that you would share with young professionals who are starting out today?
That's very interesting because you said that I'm a forester and I'm from Mauritania. It's almost
an oxymoron.
But I choose that sector for my studies. This is where my family did not understand at that time. But I decided to actually choose that path when I was around 14, 15, seeing how badly people were affected by a changing environment, and I never changed my path. I have always followed that path, and I think if there is anything that I could, recommend to anybody, is to actually believe in what you do and to trust yourself and to persist. It was not an easy ride. Certainly, even the material conditions for me at that time to study were not easy. I'm not coming from a wealthy family. I'm not coming from a wealthy country. So I would say two things probably played. One is good luck. I was lucky, and I have to say I was lucky that actually my parents took me to school. Eventually, there was no even school in my village. I had to go 10 kilometers away from my village to actually study there and be hosted by another family in order to be able to undertake my primary studies. And certainly was it not that the government at that time was encouraging studies at the secondary school, I would not have moved from my village to a city, the next city, where I could undertake my studies. And certainly that helped a lot. I felt like I'm privileged. I was given the chance to actually do something. Therefore, I have to pay back. So I had to pay back at the national level, where I worked for 10 years in my country before I moved on to another career. And wherever I was given the opportunity, or I saw the opportunity of doing something positive, I tried to. I'm not saying that everything was successful, but I tried to be successful. And I have to say it's a blessing, first of all, to be in good health. It's a blessing to be able to serve. It's a blessing to be able to contribute to something that I believed in. And it's a blessing to be able to work for international organizations, including the IUCN and the United Nations. And certainly a blessing to be in the position where I have been in UNCCD. And a blessing to meet so many young people and professionals who believed in this and who basically joined hands with me to achieve something that I think was useful, I hope will be useful to the world and will continue to be useful.
And what's the main advice?
I hate that word of advice, giving advice, because it's a lack of humility in my culture. Mm-hmm. But I can share my experience, just in the same way as I share it with my children. Follow your gut, be persistent, never give up. Giving up is not an option, and basically generate your energy from the challenges that you are faced with. If the world was not full of challenges, I would not have been where I am at the moment. Certainly that drought that occurred in my early teenage period formed me a lot and transformed me in the way I see things. And I never see a challenge and just lay back and say, okay, I am defeated. I will do my best. Sometimes I am defeated, but I will do my best to overcome that challenge.
I'm going to follow up with challenges. The world is facing the UNCCD reforms. It is challenging for all of us. It's a challenge for younger professionals. So what is your take? How would you see it? What is the future of multilateralism look like for you?
Okay, I think the UN 80 to me is not a challenge.
Okay.
It's an opportunity. The UN turns 80. It's quite an achievement. Mm-hmm. And the UN did a lot in the world. Remember 1945 when the UN was created, where we were and where we are at the moment. So I think we should reset that and make sure that we are not creating a confusion by calling it a challenge. UN 80 is an opportunity to think ahead and to think about the next 80 years and where the world needs to be in terms of international governance, multilateralism. If the UN did not exist, it had to be invented now, because the UN has never been as useful now as it was. The challenge that you are referring to may be due to some financial issues, maybe due to some governance issues. These are hurdles. They will be overcome. The world will overcome this, and it is certainly not easy at the moment as we live it, just as the COVID was not easy for us. Mm-hmm. But we managed to overcome the COVID, which was much more challenging, and we managed to put ourselves in a much better position. So the current challenges will be behind us in the next few years, or few weeks or months. And certainly what is important is to see where the world is going and where we want the world to be in the future.
Well, let's stay with that future note. The question that I'm sure many of us have been wondering is, what's next for you? What would you like to do next? And where do you see yourself, really channeling that energy and the experience that you have?
Well, I hope I will have time to spend more time with my grandchildren.
Fair enough.
And with my family, and that is not small. I have been, roaming the world for the better part of the last 40 years. Secondly, I hope I will be able to take that experience back home in order to share that experience with a younger generation, with the future of the world and the future of the country. And third, I hope I will still be healthy enough to contribute in some ways to what is going to happen internationally. I don't think I want to disconnect with the international arena. I don't want to be playing anymore an executive role, but I think sharing experiences and contributing to the well-being of people is my mantra, and I think I will continue to do that as long as I can.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything that we haven't covered?
Maybe if I may, how would you want to be seen or described by staff or by your grandkids that you just mentioned?
A tall man from the Sahel. Again, in my culture, it is better to let people talk about you rather than talk about yourself. I never did that, and I think it is not now that I'm getting older that I'm going to do that. What I would like people to do, however, is to make sure that they believe in what they do and that they build their experience and their energy based on their capacity to actually overcome challenges. So as to your question, I really want to take this opportunity to, first of all, thank UNCCD staff for the immense pleasure of working with them all. It is quite a small team compared to the mandate and the capacity, I mean the demand that is coming on them. But it's quite an achievement to be able to actually service 197 parties with conflicting demands, with growing demands. The more you do, the more demands you receive, and the higher scrutiny you have. So I really want to pay tribute to UNCCD staff. I want to also thank all UNCCD parties for their cooperation and their support. I hope I was able to provide them with the services that they wanted. If there is any shortcoming, it is not to UNCCD staff, it is on me. And I wanted to just say thank you for your patience, thank you for your support, thank you for your cooperation, and thank you for leading the world have a better understanding about the links between land, water, food, health, energy, youth, migration, security, you name it. So it is certainly important that we all contribute to that, and UNCCD staff and UNCCD parties did just that. And finally, I want to pay tribute to my parents who basically took my hand when I was 6.5 years old and took me to school. They had not been to school, they were not educated in French, or they probably struggle a little bit with Arabic because they had to read the Quran and so forth, but they did not go to any modern school. And yet, being the second born in my family and the first boy actually to be taken to school was quite something. I'm still wondering why it happened. I remember vividly my parents basically, saying, despite all the challenges that we face, we want to give him the chance to actually do something different from what we have been doing. I also want to thank my family. I have not been around as much as I could, and I have certainly missed a number of events in my family, including birthday parties, including graduations of my children that I was not able to attend, including big moments in life which I had to miss because of my duties. And I thank them for their patience and for their support. And I hope from now on I will have more time to spend with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. We wish you all the very, very best for the next chapter. Thank you so much for the leadership of this convention, and I'm sure that we will somehow be in touch again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.